We are going to go ahead and get started with this afternoon's presentation. My name is Joy DeBolt. It's great to see you all, and we're thrilled to have you here at SaaS Innovate. I have the pleasure of introducing our presenter today, Faris Yassin from our wonderful partner, Red Hat. Faris, I will hand it over to you. Let's give Faris a warm welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Joy. Appreciate it. Appreciate the good intro, and welcome everybody, and thank you for being here today and listening to us about our partnership with Red Hat and SaaS. So today I'm gonna talk to you about a few things. One of the key things that we will be talking about is how Red Hat and SaaS have been together, why using VIA 4 on OpenShift, and talk about some of the capabilities that we bring to you by having SaaS VIA on top of OpenShift. And then we'll talk about some of the management capabilities that we have released recently with OpenShift and some of the great things that you can benefit from just by going back to the office once you learn about all these things. Then I show you a couple of reference architectures and a couple of different platforms, and then we can wrap it up and talk about the overall view, get a summary, and if you have any more questions or if you'd like to see the demo that we have today, we are at the booth. We have a booth for Red Hat all the way at the end. We'd love to see you down there. And Barry, raise your hand back there. He's also with us in the booth. He's a wealth of information about what we do with SaaS. But first, if you're not familiar with Red Hat or you're new to SaaS, we have very similar companies together. We're both committed to our customers. We're number one in our respective field, whether it's in analytics or Kubernetes. SaaS have been in business for 40 years. Red Hat almost been around a little bit over 35 years now. Hard to imagine. We still think of us as a startup company. 90% of Fortune 500 actually use Red Hat, while with SaaS, 90% also use SaaS analytics one way, one shape or form. Now we have many customers that have been using the combined solution together, and I will show you why. But first, we are partners of one another, so we are a very strong partnership. SaaS is a premier partner for Red Hat. Red Hat is a silver partner for SaaS. And what that means to you as a customer is that we are always in contact with one another, that we have a lot of planning between our engineering teams and product managers that would come in and predict problems before you even see them, that we resolve them for you. That's how strong our partnership is together. So one of the key things that we provide with VIA running in OpenShift is that the ability to utilize the best in class in terms of analytics and Kubernetes platforms. So you know VIA is modernized application that has a lot of modern architecture techniques, and it's containerized. And the best platform to run it on would be OpenShift, because OpenShift is the #1 Kubernetes platform in the world, and it gives a lot of the benefits that we have learned from developing OpenShift for a long time. We share them with VIA engineers so they can utilize those new benefits. So that the integration is fully baked and it works extremely well. Now, one of the other things that the value that we bring in to you is again the fact that it's natively built on OpenShift. So that's a huge benefit that you would see. Now, one of the key things obviously is that you can take the container or the platform anywhere you want, because once you deploy it in OpenShift, you're not really stuck to on-prem or one certain cloud. You can run it on both the on-prem and the public cloud, and all you have to do is change the pointer as to where it points to. So you don't have to do any migration, you don't have to do any new deployment or anything, or even invest in new skills. Now, Red Hat OpenShift is very well known. It's a trusted enterprise Kubernetes platform. It has cloud-like experience, on-prem, so you can really deploy it as a private cloud internally if you wanted to, which would utilizes all the capabilities of the modern public cloud. It has elasticity, it has the capability of expanding with and utilizing the I/O system of your hardware, so you don't have to worry about changing it and enlarging it anytime. And it empowers developers to innovate because it takes off a lot of those things that developers don't like to do and kind of automate it for them. So it kind of gives you the DevOps models where the developers would be able to free to innovate. If they fail fast, and if they succeed fast, which translates into faster product to market for our customers. Now, VIA, as you know, is basically a system that gives, it's kind of, you can look at it as a data ops model, kind of like the DevOps model, where it's a black box. You give it questions, and at the very end, you hope that you get good decisions based on the data. So data goes in, you manage the data, develop the model, and deploy the insights so you can have better decisions. Now, there's a lot of I/O and hardware utilization that happens throughout this cycle. So a lot of the times with many products that would utilize so much data, it'll need a lot of memory and a lot of processing power. With VIA running on OpenShift, it no longer has to worry about that, and it's not going to be slowed down because it's going to use more I/O, because OpenShift is going to take care of all of that for you without you having to worry about anything. It's all automated. Now, one of the key things that I've mentioned earlier is that it's agnostic to the platform that you're running OpenShift on. So whether you're going to run it on VMware virtual machines, to bare metal, to the public cloud, it's all going to function and act the same. Now, you can see here in this small graph is a lot of the platforms that we utilize. So you can see the public cloud providers, the major four, which is Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and IBM. And you can also use the converged systems such as VMware. You can have the bare metal. You can have virtual machines from OpenShift virtualization as well. But this is all self-managed, so you can basically manage that deployment yourself. Or if you go to the right side, you see that the dedicated or the managed services that we provide from Red Hat to the customer. So you can basically buy it as a PaaS, as platform as a service. And this is available on all the major clouds, but we also have it on something that we released just recently with HPE GreenLake. So you can have your own managed private cloud, which is a fantastic solution that have everything in a box for you. So it'll have OpenShift, it'll have SaaS VIA, or running on the hardware, and you can just utilize it, and it'll be managed by HP. Actually, HPE has a booth right next to Red Hat, and in the room over, right after this talk, Anshul is going to be talking all about the HPE GreenLake solution. So now imagine with all these platforms there at the bottom, OpenShift runs on all of them without any change in the model of the way that you deploy it. And then on top of that, you can see VIA, whether it's the ML Ops or the Data Ops solution, is running on top of OpenShift, so it's agnostic of everything that runs below OpenShift. It doesn't know what it is, it doesn't care, but it utilizes all the processing power and the memory power that it has. So OpenShift, we just released the 4.18 version. We're about to release 4.19 here shortly. We are in 6-month cycle of releasing new capabilities, but we have flexibility in installation. So we offer 4 use cases driven onboarding experience that provide really a varying levels of control and automation. So with the automated or installation provisioned infrastructure, where the installer controls basically the full installation experience for you. And it includes infrastructure provisioning with an opinionated kind of best practices deployment. So you can think of it as the way that we see the best way to deploy it, we kind of have automated this for you. Now we also have a full control or user provisioned installation. This one is basically when for the little bit more experienced teams, they would be able to fully take advantage of the capabilities that we have with OpenShift and customize it to their organizational's need. Now there is also the third case is the interactive or connected experience with that assisted installer. So even it provides basically a web-based installation, so it's very simple installation, and this is going to be really for somebody who's just running into new Kubernetes install. Now we also have air-gapped experience, which is basically disconnected system, so then that means that you manually would always have to upgrade it and patch it. Now this one is a lot of times being used in highly regulated industries such as government, financial sectors. They always ask about this. This is a big deal for those regulated industries, so that's why we have it supported as one of the installation practices for OpenShift. Now, we have a strong management capabilities within OpenShift. We have created what we call the Advanced Cluster Manager. The Advanced Cluster Manager is basically an add-on to OpenShift that gives you full control over all your clusters, which is something very unique in the industry, because you don't only have to be able to see only what's happening in your private cloud and then move on to your public cloud or another public cloud provider and see each one of them. What we have given you is basically an Advanced Cluster Manager that would oversee all the clusters and all the platforms all from one dashboard. So we're going to talk a little bit more in details about some of the things that it gives you, just for your review. So it has multi-cluster lifecycle management, which we'll talk about this, policy-driven governance that you can also apply to all your clusters, advanced lifecycle management, and multi-cluster observability that I was just talking about. So if we talk about the multi-cluster management, you have centrally have the ability to create, update, and delete clusters across multiple private and public cloud platforms. It also, you can hibernate and resume the OCP cluster to across your domain. So you don't really you'll be able to see across multiple cloud providers. You can hibernate it, make it sleep, and bring it back up without having to leave that dashboard. And you can also quickly troubleshoot and resolve any issues across federated domains. So if one of the federated domains has some kind of a problem or some kind of an issue, again, you can resolve it right from the Advanced Cluster Manager, so you don't have to basically jump ships from one cluster to another. Now, the other thing that we're really proud of in the Advanced Cluster Management is the governance and the risk and compliance, that you can also apply policies across all your domains and your clusters from the dashboards of the Advanced Cluster Manager. This gives you the central management capabilities, and it gives you a visualization and auditing of all the policies that are being enforced across all the clusters. And you don't have to have the same governance or the same policy for every cluster. You can apply it to certain clusters based on the utilization, how you use it. I know that in some, again, in the financial industry, sometimes they have some clusters that would have different rules than everybody else, depending on what it is that it does, whether it's investment, whether it's in mortgages. They have different policies. You can easily apply this with the Advanced Cluster Manager. The application lifecycle management is a big thing in DevOps. So you can easily deploy the application using your application builder. This comes right with Red Hat OpenShift, so you don't have to pay extra for this. And it deploys the application from multiple sources. So whether you're going to have GitHub, Helm chart, object storage, whatever it is, you can easily deploy it from the application builder. And of course, we have the Argo CD application in Red Hat Advanced Cluster Manager, you're able to detect everything that happens in Argo CD. That's a very big feature that we have added just recently into OpenShift. This right here, you can see the multi-cluster observability. It shows you what's going on in each one of your clusters, how much it's utilizing the hardware and the I/O from your memory, and your CPU utilization, which is a great feature that you can really be able to monitor everything that's happening across all your clusters from just one location. It's much easier to manage, much easier to administer for your developers and administrators alike. All right, so we have the hosted control planes with KubeVirt providers. This is also something that we recently have added about, I would say, a year and a half ago. And it increases the utilization of your infrastructure because it has a consolidated multi-control planes to reduce the unused space in your cluster, so it can basically shrink what's being used instead of having wasted space in your storage. And it's actually connects with CSI drivers to a lot of the storage providers such as NetApp or Pure Storage, all within the virtualized environment of Red Hat OpenShift. And it also reduces dependency and legacy virtualization. So you don't really have the concept of the hypervisor like you would have in VMware. So you can really basically separate data from processing with those hosted control planes. This is a great concept. It saves a lot of our customers a lot of money. And the great thing about it is that it comes in free with OpenShift. So if somebody has a subscription for OpenShift, they already have this with them and they can utilize it from day one. All right, so we talked a lot about how OpenShift works and what are some of the cool benefits of it. But here you can see how VIA runs within OpenShift. So you can, whether it's the CAS cluster, the SAS compute services, or the microservices, each one of them runs in a stateful node pool and run it kind of like a mini cluster, so to speak. And they are all containerized within the boundaries of OpenShift. So OpenShift would take care of everything around them, as you can see from the picture. And it kind of shield them from knowing what cloud platform are they running on. So it could be running in Azure, bare metal, OpenShift Vert, for all we care. It's all running from within OpenShift itself, so it shields them from all knowing about all these details. Now, with OpenShift, like I told you before, we have some offerings where we managed services. So in this one with AWS, we call it ROSA, and it stands for Red Hat OpenShift on AWS, ROSA. Okay, and that's and it basically kind of, you can think of it as a PaaS, a platform as a service that we have. Everything is managed for you from within AWS, and you can still deploy VIA on it. So you would have basically zero administration, zero installation deployment for OpenShift, and it's just basically utilize all your skills that you have with VIA on just managing the data platform. So you don't have to worry about anything with OpenShift. Similarly with HPE GreenLake, this is kind of like the mini brother where we would have the private cloud that you can basically is managed for you with HPE. And I think HPE manages even the VIA side of it. But to learn more about that, you'd have to go next door in the next session where Anshul is going to talk about it. But if you come into the Red Hat booth, we'll show you a demo of Red Hat, and then you can also have another demo with HPE because we are right next door to each other. And I think that they have created like sizes for how much data you use and how much utilization of services you would like to use, and made it small, medium, and large. And they have an extra large one that he can talk all about it and give you more information. Now, I believe that we don't really have a lot of time for the demo, but we will definitely would love to show you the demo at the booth if you would like to, and be more than happy to show it to you. But all the gist of this demo is basically shows you how you can create a virtualized environment for OpenShift, and within that virtualized environment you can dedicate however many resources that you would need, whether processing resources, memory, and so on. And then as soon as you deploy it, you'll be able to get VIA on top of it and monitor VIA's progress on this. It's a really cool way of saving you a lot of headache and a lot of time and essentially a lot of money by utilizing that capability. All right, so we have talked about SAS and Red Hat and our strong partnership. We talked about VIA running on Red Hat OpenShift and the how it's modernized your platform for your data, and how we talked about how customers can take advantage of SAS, VIA, and OpenShift by utilizing the various tools of deployment. So now I want to leave you with words of wisdom. No matter what your technology is, you have to remember that technology is part of the puzzle. So you have, if you look at it as a three-legged stool, it's technology, people, and processes. In order to have any technology successful, you have to adopt some adoption techniques in order for the technology to be successful. And we have a presentation that's all about adoption and how you can do that and successfully launch it within your organization. So with that, I'll leave you with a lot of resources. More than happy to discuss any of those with you. We do have them, again, our booth, we'll talk about them more. And I thank you very much for being here and sticking around and watching the whole presentation. And we'd love to talk to you if you have any questions. We'll be here for the rest of the week. Thank you again very much.